Welcome to podcast 43. Yes, 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 maybe, but yes.
Hello, welcome to another episode of podcast 43. I guess we've got a good bit of guests here. It's our most star-stacked episode we've ever had. So I guess we'll go with Chris and move around the room.
Well, yeah, we so we're here. It's Chris. I'm back. And we're here with our three friends. Louis Prendergast.
Yeah, I'm Louis Prendergast, like he just said. Long-time listener, first-time fan.
Hi, I'm Andy Thrasher.
Hey, I'm Owen, Hawke.
And we have them all gathered here today to discuss Jiminy, Glick, and Lalawood.
When we hit the floor.
That's right.
So
So if you listen to the end of the episode where the trailer to this film was put in, you'd recognize that song because it constantly plays throughout the film. But for the uninitiated, I guess we can cut to the chase and explain what Jiminy Glick is. And I think that there's nobody better to explain what Jiminy Glick is than the person that made us watch it in the first place, and in the second place, and that's Louis. So take it away. Explain.
Okay, so basically, Jiminy Glick is a character by the famed SCTV alumni Martin Short, and this character kind of stemmed from him wanting to be so shrouded that no one on the street would understand who he is, because he did this character beforehand, but just in the regular skinny attire. But everyone was saying, "Hey, Martin, I love your stuff." And he didn't want that. So he kind of devised a new look after his movie with Donald Glover. Not Donald Glover. The other guy. Danny Glover, yeah. Not Donald Glover. Where he was stung by a bee and he got a lot of, like, inflation of the neck. And he thought, okay, instead of inflation, what if it was fat? And that's how the character Jiminy Glick came to be. And he had a couple shows in the early 2000s where he interviewed celebrities. And I guess they thought it was a good idea to move this to a feature film. Probably a poor decision. I think that's what you really need about Jiminy Glick.
Good description.
Thank you for the background. But yeah, I think this is my second time watching it, and this was Louis and Andy's second time watching it as well. And I can say that safely that a year ago when I watched it, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I thought it was the worst thing ever, but I think it was maybe the state of mind that I was in. Maybe I was mad about the pandemic and all this other stuff. Maybe I was taking it out on Jiminy Glick. My pent-up aggression. But I will say that this time around, I did not hate it nearly as much. It's still not very good. But I guess we can talk about the framing device narratively, because I don't really know what else there is to, like, go into about the character. I mean, we kind of covered our bases with the character. So
Maybe we should start out with the opening with David Lynch.
Well, first of all, we set the scene. So this film came out in 2004, and made next to no money. Like, I think it's like it didn't even make six figures at the box office but it's about Jiminy Glick going to the Toronto International Film Festival, and
Also known as Lalawood.
also known as Lalawood, which I've never heard before. Like, have you guys ever heard that?
No one's ever said that before.
No,
I think
never.
ever. No, they did not. They never said Lalawood. They did say Lalawood in one of the shorts that we watched before the movie from, what is it, the Martin Short show?
Yeah, or Primetime Glick, one of them.
One of those two.
But it's also so it opens with a very strange framing device of Martin Short as David Lynch, and they do kind of this Lost Highway homage with the road and
It being dark.
it being dark.
To give him credit, he does a pretty good job as David Lynch. I feel like.
I think we can all
It's a
agree.
very good impression.
Yeah.
I
I can
think
tell the difference.
The makeup's very good for David Lynch as well, or for Martin Short as David Lynch. The smoke always surrounding David Lynch is also a nice little addition to it as well.
But yeah, we go. It introduces a lot to go off of. Also, kind of mirroring the real life tragic death of Lana Turner's mother, and kind of the mystery that's kind of shrouded around that. But yet again, it's like this doesn't really need to be a feature film. I don't know why it's a movie. Really, I think that the interviews with Rob Schneider and Mel Brooks and even the interview segments in this film are funny. They're definitely the highlights because that's where Martin Short's Jiminy Glick character functions at his best. So,
Well, it feels like sort of an afterthought of like the SNL comedies where they would take an SNL skit that was popular and then stretch it into a feature-length thing. It sort of feels like the same idea, and it doesn't work for exactly the same reasons, where 90 minutes of the Jiminy Glick character in a narrative format is just not funny.
Yeah, I completely agree. It also it actually led us down that very rabbit hole, Andy, when we were looking at all the different SNL movies, and there were some that made about the same amount of money that this did. So we call this SNL SNL adjacent because it's not fully connected, but it's in the same vein. Yeah.
Right. It's the same ballpark.
Yeah. Other highlights include many celebrity cameos, like when Kiefer Sutherland shows up in
Kiefer.
Yeah, and Jim.
Was that Peter Griffin? No, Lois.
No, it's Kiefer. Kiefer's right here, Lois.
Family Guy mega fan Louis Prendergast.
More of a Simpsons guy, but okay.
Hopefully we'll get that Family Guy movie here
Jake
soon.
Gyllenhaal
Mm-hmm.
is a big star in the movie.
Yeah,
Willem
it's funny
Dafoe.
that when we first watched this last year, me, Louie, and Andy, we found one of the top reviews on Letterboxd. It was the only reason why somebody watched Jiminy Glick and Lalawood was because they were a Jake Gyllenhaal completionist that needed to see every Jake Gyllenhaal movie, and he only has like one line. So I just think that's a really funny mental image of somebody watching this movie for.
Right. There's a lot of like Toronto Film Festival B-roll where it looks like they just set up a camera and filmed people on the red carpet, and then there's some of Jiminy Glick interviewing people for about 2 seconds, and then they realize that it's a joke, and then they walk away, and it's not very funny.
I think it's also important. I just want to let it be known how much I enjoy Martin Short as a comedic talent. I think he's one of the fun. Well, he's very funny, very funny guy. This week I pre-gamed before before rewatching Jiminy Glick. I pre-gamed by watching John Landis's The Three Amigos, which is a good performance from Martin Short, and of course Clifford is another. Martin Short. I'm surprised there's no. This seems like it would have fart jokes in it, but it doesn't.
Chris, there's that one at the dinner table in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
There's one fart joke. You would think there'd be more. It would have been kind of funny to see David Lynch fart in a movie.
I would agree.
Yeah, that would be really funny. I would really love to see that because it would make me laugh.
I mean, fingers crossed. You know what I mean? So.
Still waiting for Wisteria. Maybe we'll finally deliver. There was a squelch joke when Jimmy pulled out of his wife's pussy.
Yeah, there's a pop. Yeah.
I mean, we do have to congratulate Martin Short for being the real MVP for having to wear that fat suit for such a long period of time.
I think it would have benefited though from like Three Stooges-esque sound effects.
Yeah, no, it is. It's an extremely impressive and physical performance. I think it really awe-inspiring to see Martin Short do this in service of a truly awful film.
What?
Would you say that Jiminy Glick's presence was the worst thing at the 2002 Toronto Film Festival?
What are the other contenders?
I don't know.
John-
That's what I mean. It's a real shot in the dark. So
Probably the Gandhi mission.
John Michael Higgins, who plays the foreign guy to Miranda Coolidge.
Yeah,
maybe.
that is the worst character in the movie.
yeah, it really is amazing how like you were really able to get away with that type of stuff in the 2000s. Like
That's like middle school level improv.
yeah.
Yes, it's that the European. I don't know. He's vaguely European. He's from somewhere in Europe, and he's just doing like that kid in high school's thing. Like, this is like I'm like from Russia, and I'm so. And you
Oh,
know
I
what
thought you were-
happens in Russia, and-
I thought you were talking about the Gandhi guy.
Oh,
Oh no.
Yeah, yeah.
The guy with the long hair that's like, oh, who are you, bitch whore?
yeah, you're
That was
like
my style.
you're like a bitch whore from India.
She has nice ass. Fuck her later. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
We make fuck later.
Oh, yeah, we make.
But it's throughout the entire movie. You know, it's just not a one-off character. He brings the whole experience down, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His screen time's very consistent too. It's like every like 5 minutes he's propped back into the movie.
Yeah, it's also the film has this kind of narrative, this murder narrative that kind of comes in the second half of the
Narrative is a really strong word.
It's
for
like
this
it
script.
chooses to take
Yes.
a back seat and then comes up to drive for a second and then forgets about it.
I think you're
I
being
feel like.
very generous, by implying that it's a carried through the entire
Well,
film.
it shouldn't have had a narrative. Is my
Yeah.
point? Is like why didn't we just do it more like a Jackass movie? You
Well,
know?
really, they must have really believed in the David Lynch kind of comedic bit, because I think that's really the only part that makes the murder mystery aspect memorable. Is David Lynch always alluding to it?
I mean, who is this movie made for?
Jiminy Glick
That,
mega fans.
that is a question that I think we had the first time we watched it, because I can't imagine that there's much overlap between people who are fans of David Lynch and will get the David Lynch impression, and people who will laugh at the fat jokes and the
Jiminy Glick.
yeah the
It's-
Jiminy Glick humor.
It's for real cinephiles, you know.
For people that for people that like all types of cinema.
Eclectic.
Eclectic, yes, that's a good way of putting it.
There's not even that much to talk about with this movie. I think we've already covered all the bases for the most part.
I mean, or the fact that it just wraps up in like 5 minutes and then.
But it's the most confusing wrap up I've seen in quite some time.
We haven't talked about Jiminy Glick's children actually.
Oh yeah.
Matthew and Modine.
Matthew and Modine. I have to say, this is my first watch, and I kind of, I had sort of the same reaction that Chris described his first viewing as. I'm like still kind of trembling with anger right now. But Matthew and Modine, I'm just such a sucker for like the fat twin sons trope, and it's legitimately funny. I thought.
Do they have any lines
makes
of
me smile.
dialogue? I don't remember.
Yes,
they have
they
a
did.
few.
Yeah.
Because they're asking Jiminy Glick what sex is, which is a very funny scene that goes on for I think about 5 minutes.
Well, also in that scene, some Jiminy lore is revealed where he didn't find out about this stuff till he was 21 years of age.
And his girlfriend or wife at the time had to explain to him the inner workings of sex.
Yeah, a real juicy nugget for all the little kids out there.
Is there really nothing else that we
There's
want?
not a
Hold
whole
on,
lot.
We can talk about the blaxploitation element of the film.
I don't know. I mean, I will say that the claymation in the scene where where Gary Anthony Williams and the other characters that kidnap Jiminy Glick and roofie him into giving them a good review, it is impressive claymation. I will say that's
Is
definitely-
it? You know?
I thought it was pretty nice.
Yeah,
I mean, like
yeah.
there's that person peeing, and the pee
Yeah.
stream looked pretty good.
That's true.
I
That's
don't
true.
know. I think there's a lot to it. I thought it was.
It was a step or two above like 2008 YouTube claymation
Yeah,
videos.
that's true. That's true.
And yeah, I think it made me want to go to the Toronto Film Festival, but I think that I wanted to go anyways before I watched Jiminy Glick and Lalawood.
Well, now you want to put on a fat suit and pretend to, be Jiminy Glick
Yeah.
and see who gets the reference.
Well, I was also wondering that maybe the David Lynch connection was a little bit deeper than just him being David Lynch, because Jiminy Glick and David Lynch are both from Montana, and I think that would be kind of a really creative through line.
How many David Lynch fans know that he's from Montana, though?
I don't know. I'm a David Lynch fan, and I know he's from Montana.
Do you think they could have grown up together?
I think they could have. They probably raced tractors together.
Oh, and Jiminy Glick isn't real.
What do you mean?
Yeah, so I think this was no, there were actually a few other appearances of Jiminy Glick after his time in Lalawood. In fact, he did a few other appearances, including one appearance on Jimmy Fallon on the Late Show with Jimmy Fallon, where he interviewed Jimmy Fallon as Donald Trump for
Wait, Jiminy Glick interviewed, in a hypothetical sense, Donald Trump?
Mm-hmm.
He also went on CNN a bunch.
Yeah, he was very. He also was on Saturday Night Live. I don't know. But other than that, the character has really been retired, and
Well, he had a show with Maya Rudolph, like in 2015, 2016.
he had a full show with Maya Rudolph.
Yeah, and some of the segments had Jiminy Glick in it. I think. Well,
That's a unique pairing.
Oh, Martin Short had a whole show with Maya Rudolph.
yeah,
Yeah.
Not Maya Rudolph and then Jiminy Glick had a show together. Martin Short and Maya Rudolph. Yeah.
Well, now Martin Short's on to better things. That Murderers in the Apartment, whatever it's called. What's it called?
I don't know.
Murders That Live Among Us. Only not Among Us. Only Murderers in the Building. That looks fun. We'll be checking that out. Like I said, Martin Short, great comedic talent, but sometimes you swing and you miss, and that's Jiminy Glick and Lalawood, a movie that is packed with references to cinema for the true kinophile, but sadly nothing really else of substance other than things that exist that you are vaguely aware of, and really bad comedic physical comedy. So yeah, I don't know.
Should we do recommendations? We'll go around the room, see if people would recommend this or not.
Yeah, I guess if anybody else has anything to say, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Your Glicks.
Yeah.
I've genuinely forgotten like half of the movie. I'm trying to recall anything to talk about.
Well, you're the one that wanted to watch this movie, so.
Me and 3 other people.
That's right.
I honestly, nothing else comes to mind. It was funny when Jiminy Glick's 2 sons rode around on tricycles like in The Shining. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
The tricycle in The Shining? They did that, but in this movie.
But The Shining doesn't take place in Toronto, Andy.
Oh. Oh.
There's a line where a lady says seminal instead of seminal.
That was pretty funny,
That's
yeah.
a good joke.
There's a few jokes that got me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that there are something. The Steve Martin interview is good.
Oh, we should talk about the Gandhi movie.
Oh, the Gandhi.
Oh, Growing Up Gandhi.
Growing Up Gandhi is the fictional film within the Jiminy Glick
You
universe.
see, there's layers to this. A metatextual something.
Well, and Growing Up Gandhi is a film by this director that's kind of seen as this visionary that doesn't talk to a lot of people, and Jiminy Glick manages to land an interview with him, and they play the trailer.
Because he was the only person to give it a positive review.
Yeah.
But here's
'Cause
the
he-
kicker. He only gave it a positive review because he slept through the movie. So that's kind of like a comedic thing going on.
It is very
It's a
wacky.
joke, as it were.
But that whole plot doesn't get resolved. The Ben DiCarlo thing. He just like hooks up with Miranda Coolidge.
Well, yeah, because someone dies. You know, there's a lot more gravity.
Yeah, there's the murder,
Yeah, but
there's the
they
murder
don't-
subplot that we need to focus on, where Jiminy Glick thinks he killed somebody, but then it turned out that he didn't actually kill somebody.
He just fell asleep
He just
while
fell
the murder
asleep.
happened.
Because he's fat and he falls asleep.
Well,
a
no,
lot.
he got roofied.
Yeah, he got
And he
roofied.
he did get roofied too, and he's also fat, and he falls asleep a lot. All right. Well, my recommendation is watch the 1994 film Clifford, starring Martin Short and Charles Grodin and Mary Steenburgen. So, don't watch this film. Maybe watch some Jiminy Glick clips. You know, you may like like I said, the Rob Schneider interview. Highlight of mine. 5 minutes. Get the deal. You're in. You're out. Babada-boo. Vavavoom.
I would also probably not recommend this feature film. Instead, there's a lot of compilations up on YouTube. It's like Jiminy Glick roast celebrities for 20 minutes straight. That's a lot better side of Jiminy Glick.
Just say point the microphone towards someone.
What I said previously.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, except in the sense that it is a very memorable movie, because we watched it over a year ago, and it was still very fresh in my mind. I mean, we've talked about this movie many times, even though apparently there isn't much to talk about to it.
It's more that we just sold the movie and it was so bad.
Yeah, it was really shockingly bad. So if, you know, it is noteworthy in that sense. For a long time, if somebody asked me what, like, the worst movie I've ever seen is, this would probably have been my answer. It's not really anymore. But I guess if you're interested in that, it might be worth watching. Maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it, though.
Yeah, definitely if you're looking to find the worst movie that you've ever seen, you could look to Jiminy Glick, because, you know, as I was, just after finishing the movie, I was thinking about the worst movies I've ever seen, and I'm like, that one, I enjoyed it more than watching Jiminy Glick. Oh, that one too. I had more fun watching that one. And examples include Loquisha, if you want to check that one out. It's an extremely bad movie, but, you know, still had more fun watching that than Jiminy Glick. And
Free Guy.
Oh, and of course, Free Guy. Hopefully, it's still out in theaters near you.
Oh, it's still out in theater.
That was a blast. Got lots of references out there for all the Marvel heads and Disney heads too.
Just major corporation heads.
Corporation heads. And I didn't even really like the non-Jiminy Glick and Lalawood feature movie stuff. I don't like the regular interviews. I just watch something else that Martin Short did. Just don't stay away from Jiminy Glick.
You just find it to be an obnoxious character.
It's an obnoxious character. It makes me mad.
That's the point. Martin Short asks, "What if an idiot had power?" And that's how he came up with the character of Jiminy Glick.
I mean,
I
can.
think
That's
you're
the whole
giving it.
point.
I think you're giving it a little more credit.
No,
than
that's
it
what Martin
deserves.
Short has said in interviews about the character of Jiminy Glick. So that's a little bit of background for you. You just got faced there with knowledge and facts.
I mean, I find it. I can see the humor in it, but I didn't like laugh super hard all the time. But I would. I don't know. I don't know if I'd recommend this one. I don't hate it, but I don't really love it, and I was kind of ready for it to end near the end. But I guess that last 15 minutes really makes you question what the whole movie is trying to do. So maybe there's something to,
Did it?
look into. I don't know.
I will say the superior film set at a film festival is Woody Allen's
Entourage.
Yeah, sorry.
This did remind me a lot of Entourage. That one episode where they go to
They go to
the
Sundance,
yeah.
and James Cameron shows up in a helicopter and he's like, "Yo, Vinny Chase, you want to be Aquaman?" Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And Turtle and Drama have to have a threesome.
But they're not. But
they're not gay.
But they're
so
not
they can't
gay.
do
Yeah, they
that.
can't. Yeah, they can't because that would be gay, dude.
I think this is the second time we've referenced that episode on the podcast.
It's a memorable episode. But as far as films are concerned, Woody Allen's 2020 film Rifkin's Festival is set at the San Sebastian Film Festival in Spain. Very bad film too, but better
It's
than
weird
Jiminy
that it
Glick
wasn't
and Lalawood.
It's weird it wasn't a festival in America.
Yeah, he's weird that he's been exiled to Europe for some reason. Yeah, it's just I feel like also setting movies at a film festival just seems kind of like the film industry kind of performing self-flagellation on themselves.
Yeah, I don't really think Jiminy Glick and Lalawood is representative of the film industry. I think it's a divergent act of art. Something that breaks the mold of the standard conventions that we've been forced to guzzle down.
Would you say that it's transgressive even?
No. I wouldn't say that.
All right. Well, I think that's really all we have to talk about.
How long have we been going on for?
28 minutes.
Is there anything else that we've all seen that we want to talk about?
Well, no. This is segment one.
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What's
So
segment two?
that's
well, recent releases, because I do have a recent release we can talk about.
okay. Well,
Yeah. All right.
okay.
All right, so we're back from the ad break, and now we can talk about recent releases. I don't know if y'all saw anything else recent, but I surely did, and that was He's All That, the gender-swapped version of the 1999 film She's All That. Netflix put this out, I think, last week. It's faring quite poorly with audiences. I think people that even enjoy the original or your high school movie fare. The thing that I noticed especially was how the contrast in this film was turned up so bright, so I could never not focus on. It was just always like I could never lose my attention. My attention span was just locked in, even though that I knew what I was watching was drivel, especially when they have a TikTok dance-off with Addison Rae and the other high schoolers that are in their mid-20s. I would not recommend He's All That. It's very conventional. It's basically a retelling of Pygmalion, which is a great play, great film, adaptation as well from the 30s that I would recommend. Or I have not seen My Fair Lady, but people seem to like that too. But it's, similarly, it's like, hey, Addison Rae, you're this really popular Instagram / well, I don't even think it's Instagram. It's like some vaguely ambiguous social media thing that she has like a bunch of followers on, and she's broke. Her heart gets broken by her boyfriend who cheats on her, and she says that she makes a bet with her friends that I can make the most ugly, not cool guy at our high school. I can make him prom king, and I can glow him up. And
So it's a riff on Not Another Teen Movie.
really, that's well, I guess that would make sense, because Not Another Teen Movie was probably riffing off of She's All That, yeah. So, anyways, Addison Rae, she does that, and then, like, of course, the guy that she picks, like, he's like super cool and alternative, and she like ruins him. Like, he was cool before she ruined him. He wore like Gigi Allen t-shirts, and he had like super long hair and a beanie, and then like she cuts his hair, and then like he stops wearing the Gigi Allen t-shirts, and he also secretly has a six-pack.
Why would you want to associate yourself with Gigi Allen?
Because he's alternative.
But I don't think he's that good kind of alternative. It sucks to hear you say that, Chris, because I know you've been talking about that movie for months. You were really looking forward to it.
Oh, I was very excited. I was really happy to hear that they shut down a COVID testing facility in Toronto to film this movie. Also, Kourtney Kardashian is in the movie, but she just calls Addison Rae on the phone, and she's like doing like aerobics and stuff, and she like starts like ranting at her. So it's like a really easy way to get a paycheck for Kourtney, without having to like be on set, because that's like a lot of work and all that. Just aesthetically bankrupt film, but yet you can't look away, because it's like so. There's like it's hard to like lose your attention span when you're like watching it, but it's just such a dreadful film. But that's all I have for new releases. So I guess we can. If anybody has anything else, we can talk about what the best thing we've seen this week was.
I saw Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
yeah,
that's a new release. All
right. Well, thank you, because me and Fulton were actually riffing last week that we weren't going to be able to cover this one because we both didn't want to go to the cinema and see it. So I'm happy.
Yeah, now's your chance. It's not great. And there's not really much to say about it.
Well, that's a great review.
Thank you. I don't know. So I sort of unintentionally watched some like wuxia, like Hong Kong action movies before seeing this, and it just sort of brought to the forefront how much worse it is than those movies. Because it's trying to do the same thing, but it's just so bloodless, and you can just tell that most of the stunts are computer generated, and they're in computer generated environments, and so it just does not work as well as those films. So like I watched Dragon Inn and Police Story and The 8 Diagram Pole Fighter. These are all lovely films that I would highly recommend. And some of them are referenced in Shang-Chi, but it just doesn't work. I mean, I don't think there was even a single drop of blood anywhere in the movie. And The 8 Diagram Pole Fighter ends with people ripping people's teeth out. It's truly excellent. And so like to just see it reproduced in such a, I don't know, childish way was a little sad. But the movie itself is not terrible or anything. I don't know. If you like Marvel, it's fine. I
like Marvel.
No, I don't mean it like that.
No,
I mean, it's just nothing special.
I'm speaking on behalf of Andy that he does mean it that way.
No, I don't. I don't hate Marvel movies or anything.
Okay.
Like, some of the hosts of this show might, but
What? No.
No, we're not. We're not.
No.
so
Well,
yeah,
I
if you
think we
want to
should go
see,
through our favorite Marvel movies.
I don't think that this is a.
Well, we're saving that for our 2nd year anniversary. Yeah.
Well, would you say that it's another example of Marvel attempting to do a genre picture inside of their own genre picture and then making you think to yourself, why wouldn't I just watch said genre pictures?
yeah, I think that's probably the best description for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
if you want to see like rubbery CGI people do flips and kick each other, then you can watch Shang-Chi. And if you want to see people actually endangering themselves to make a movie, then you can watch Police Story.
yeah, well, I don't know. That movie's kind of old, Andy. I don't know.
I know it's wishful thinking, but with Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange in the mouth of, and is it the Mouth of Madness or something like that?
In the Mouth of
That's a John Carpenter.
Yeah, I know. I'm confused. It's
It's
something
the
multiverse of.
madness.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I just hope that that's different, but I think that's just wishful thinking.
Well, I think that Sam Raimi's probably not going to be directing it, but I know that the shareholders at Disney will be. So, they're gonna really put together a really interesting film. So, any other points that you'd like to bring home about Shang-Chi?
No, there's nothing in particular to talk about with it.
Well,
No personal experience with the movie.
well,
No.
Well, next week though, it is going to be a big week because we have Paul Schrader's The Card Counter coming out, and me and Fulton will be able to deliver to you our thoughts on this film, one of my most anticipated films of the year. So, yeah, I guess we can now move on to our favorite film of the week. I think we're gonna kind of slim it down a little bit due to the amount of people that we have, where we're just gonna kind of pick one that we can kind of talk about and just kind of give our thoughts on it, provide a recommendation.
And it doesn't have to be your favorite film. It could just be a film that you guys like want to
Anything
talk
that's
about.
remarkable.
Yeah. Does anybody want to start or?
Well, so is this new to
No,
us,
this-
or just in general?
Just like whatever you've watched like recently that you kind of want to talk about. I'll hop in here real quick and just I watched Super Size Me 2, Holy Chicken, which for people that have watched whatever episode that was when I reviewed the first Super Size Me, like it was like a month or two ago, I think. It's kind of like a hate watch for me because I really despise Morgan Spurlock, but it's just so damn funny to see him at the center of every documentary that he does, because it's very much like a personality thing, and if you really just dislike him, well, I don't really know who this movie is for, but like this like. The concept of it is that he's going to prove all the fast food chains wrong and actually make something, make a healthy fast food chain. So he makes like this whole chicken sandwich, and there's so many quotable lines that he drops throughout the film. And like my whole thing with Morgan Spurlock is I think he's kind of he very like looks down his nose, I feel like, at the audience and that people around him. I don't know the guy personally. This is just my reading of him throughout the films and everything.
Did you know that like fast food is like really like bad for you?
Yeah, like
Did you know that?
but with this one, like it's very uneven, and that's like a criticism that I think I have for a lot of his documentaries, where it will kind of stumble on to like interesting ideas but either not fully develop it or just kind of go away from it. So I did not know that in terms of all the big like groups of corporations that run around the world, I didn't know there was a big chicken one, like big oil. And so apparently he gets like blackballed by Big Chicken, and they send out this newsletter, and all these chicken people are trying to stop him from doing his fast food thing. And then so he like has to have a farm to raise the chickens that he'll ultimately use to sell at his chain. And he like ruins this one dude's life, like because the Big Chicken, they hear that this farmer is working with Morgan Spurlock. He completely like ruins this dude's life and uses it as an example in like the documentary without actually like helping the dude like pick up the pieces that he has ultimately caused. Like so like it just further proves like I think he's very questionable with a lot of the things that he does. And so like his whole thing with his restaurant is that it'll be ironic, and so they have all this like wording on the wall that's like, look, we have green and we have plants, look how healthy we are, but we're actually lying to you. So he's like, I don't know, it's really weird. It's very funny.
And then he also Me Too'd himself before the film came out.
He did.
Yeah.
And it ruined the whole movie. Or I mean, well, when I say it ruined, I mean it ruined his life. And so like it ruined his production company. No one would release the film. YouTube dropped it. It didn't. I don't think it got a theatrical release, but I could be wrong. But it eventually made its way and found another production company. And he's like, I don't know if he has any projects in the workings, but yeah, I don't know. It's just so funny. I mean, if you're somebody like me that watched Super Size Me 2 and thought it was very funny, go into this movie with the same mindset.
I like how a lot of 2000s kind of, I would call them like pop documentaries, received sequels in the 2010s. We had Super Size Me 2, An Inconvenient Truth 2. An interesting concept, surely, that didn't really, I wouldn't say kind of were successful. I feel like they tried to recapture something that was kind of flash in the pan at that moment, and people kind of didn't care about.
Well, in the case of Super Size Me 2, they use a lot of the same techniques. Like, I think they objectify, like, overweight people the same way that they do. It's like they really haven't learned from their shortcomings of the first one, but
Yeah.
with a director like that, I don't really expect...
They objectified Jiminy Glick.
Yeah. And quickly, I also watched Mansome. I'm not going to go into detail about that one, but this one, Mansome seems so ripe for potential because I thought it was going to be him exploring the world of like professional manscaping, and he's like barely in the movie. The movie's super unfocused, but on to...
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, I was super excited, but I still have other Morgan Spurlock joints that I'm gonna...
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about
through.
Where in the World is Osama bin Laden.
Oh, I'm so excited to get into that one.
The 2008 documentary.
So I wonder if it goes based by poster, because he's the center of that poster in Super Size Me and Super Size Me 2. I don't think he's... Maybe that's his body on Mansome.
Well, I'm going to talk about something that I've wanted to watch for a while now. Is Andrei Zulawski's Possession from 1981, starring Isabella Adjani and Sam Neill. I think that this is one of the best things I've ever seen. It was incredible. There's really nothing else like it tonally. It's just a completely insane movie about insane people. There's a great performance by Isabella Adjani where she's just totally detached from reality and screams. And then there's also the body horror aspect of it. It was very controversial when it was released actually in America, and they had to edit down a lot of the movie to get like a distributor, and they just turned it into a straight body horror film. But like the uncut version that I watched, and that is now the one that got Blu-ray releases and DVD releases now, is completely different because it's also about the breakdown of a marriage, and it kind of uses the imagery of body horror and also like just psychological horror as a way to show that symbolically. It's really it's also kind of autobiographical because Zulawski, the director, was going through a divorce at the time that he wrote this movie. And I just think that Isabella Johnny is really, really great. There's also some really fun cinematography. I'm just so over the moon about this movie. I can't wait to maybe cover it in the future in depth, or...
I'm good.
Yeah, never mind, I guess. Yeah, but and also exploring more of Zulawski's films, because he's got a pretty long body of work. But yeah, that's really all I'll say on that, because I think it needs to be witnessed.
Well, I also watched Possession with Chris and a couple of other fellas.
Yeah, I guess it should be said that the four of us watched it last night.
I also watched Three Amigos with Chris. But there's not really too much to say about it. It's just more of a straightforward comedy. There's some fun bits to it. The Dancing Bush. That's one.
Dancing Bush is good. Three Amigos is also, I think, a movie that if you like Martin Short, Steve Martin, and Chevy Chase, and John Landis.
I didn't really get why there's a helicopter scene in this movie, though. But there's not too much to say about Three Amigos, but something I would like to speak on is a short by the Canadian filmmaker Norman McLaren called Neighbors. It's this wonderful kind of mix of stop motion, like real world stop motion with real time. And the language is so modern, the visual language. It just sticks out like a sore thumb in 1952. And, I mean, I guess the main thing should be to go watch this because it's only 8 minutes long. But apparently it was an allegory for war or something like that. I don't know, a lot of art is. It was about two neighbors fighting over this delicious pansy. Or is that a pansy? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know my flowers, but I know a bitch when I see one.
Oh, we should talk about the gay Deceivers, too.
To quote a different movie that we watched.
But Neighbors is really good. I think everyone should check it out. I think we should talk about the gay Deceivers, though, right?
Sure, yeah, if you want to talk about that. It's a very strange film. What was the year? It's 60s. 69.
Yeah, 1969.
And I guess you would classify it as a B movie because it's fairly low budget. I don't know if it got a wide release or anything, but it is available for free now on Tubi, the greatest streaming service. And it's about two totally straight heterosexual men who have to pretend to be gay and move in together to avoid the draft.
I mean, it seems like a plot from the late 90s, early 2000s.
Right. You explained it to me. You were pitching this to me to watch it, and I thought that it was an early 2000s comedy. It reminded me a lot of Dead Man on Campus. It's this movie that Chris and I watched a long time ago. It's like that sort of early 2000s like black comedy premise, but then to find out that it was from the 60s is really fascinating. And it's not as bad as you would think it is. It's a pretty funny comedy, and it's pretty even-handed.
It's surprisingly tame.
Yeah.
You know, they drop a couple of F-bombs, but
Yeah.
it never goes outright hateful. And though a lot of the characters are kind of vehemently homophobic, the movie in and of itself isn't.
Right.
It never really makes a declaration of these characters or their lifestyle decisions.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really funny. One of the characters got really into it at the end, one of the straight people. And What do they dress? They dress up as Dracula.
He's
Nude Dracula.
Dracula.
It's Dracula, but there's like a he has the Dracula cape, but he's only got underwear on there, and there's like a little
Adam
bat.
and Eve leaf.
No, there's a bat hanging in front.
Oh, yeah.
Is it a leaf?
Michelangelo's David leaf.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought I caught a glimpse of it, and I thought it was like, and I think this would be better as if it was like a little bat hanging over his feet.
It's just like a 2-second shot or
I
something.
think that's the Mandela effect in action.
It's very possible that we're part of a split reality now.
Yeah.
I think I branched. I think I'm from a different universe.
But yeah, there are a lot of good moments. Malcolm Dijon is a character standout.
Malcolm Dijon, played by Michael Greer, who has not been in a ton of things, but apparently has sort of a cult following among people that like these sort of like 60s, 70s LGBT films. So I don't know. I'm curious to see some of the other things that he's been in because I thought he was really funny.
Yeah. Also, the guy at the end that dresses up in the like the full BDSM outfit.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a sexy executioner at the costume party. But yeah, it's a good movie.
Twist at the end.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, there's a great twist at the end, which I guess we don't want to spoil, but.
But that's also like Neighbors. That's also kind of an anti-war film.
I guess you could say if the main characters are dodging the draft.
Yeah, because it really delves into what depravity people would go through to avoid military service.
Yeah.
Did we watch anything else?
Well, yesterday, at the time that we're filming this, yesterday was September 5th, which was Werner Herzog's birthday, my favorite filmmaker. And so I would be remiss if I didn't say a little bit about Lessons of Darkness, which is my favorite film of his. I won't say a lot because that would probably be a little annoying if I just talked on and on about it. But it's a really amazing documentary. I would highly recommend it to anyone who has seen some of his work. It's probably not a good first Herzog to jump into. I don't know. It's a little out there, but it's only 54 minutes, and it's mostly footage of the Kuwaitian oil fields after they were set on fire when Iraq was leaving the country, and so it's just a lot of amazing footage that you will not see in any other film ever.
Pollution has never looked so beautiful.
Yes. Great shots of ominous, sooty black clouds and flames and firefighters that are covered in oil and stuff. It's really just a beautiful film and really shocking imagery that you're not going to see anywhere else. So, but that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, well, I want to talk about this film that Andy and I saw maybe 3 shakes of a lamb's tail ago. It's called Day of Anger. It's a Lee Van Cleef Western. Oh my God, I love that film. It's Lee Van Cleef plays kind of like the mentor to this down bad guy that he takes under his wing, and he's just kind of the classic Lee Van Cleef evil Western guy, and it's really everything that I want out of a Western. The gunplay, the funny characters. Lee Van Cleef is just so over the top. And I think my favorite thing about the movie is the description on Letterboxd. It says, Lee Van Cleef has been dirty, quote unquote, ugly, and downright mean. Now watch him get violent. So when has Lee Van Cleef not gotten violent before? I don't understand. Yeah.
Well, he was in The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. He wasn't a very violent man. He was a very kindly man.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, people say that there's sort of different kinds of Western fans. There's, like, John Wayne fans and then Clint Eastwood fans. But I would argue for a third category, and I think I can speak for Owen as well. We are definitely Lee Van Cleef fans. I think he's just the best Western actor ever. He's so cool in every movie that he's in, and he's always playing some, I don't know, terrible bounty hunter or something.
Bounty killer,
yeah. But you'll notice in some of the films, there's like one particular shot in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly where you can see that he's missing part of one of his fingers, and in real life that was because he was building a dollhouse for his daughter. So I don't know, I just think that's so funny how he's this like nice, kindly man in real life, but plays all these terrible characters.
One other thing to note about the movie is that if you look at the Letterboxd top reviews, everybody says that it's kind of basically like the Star Wars original trilogy. But
how so?
I don't know. it's like it's almost I really didn't get that impression at all.
Except for that weird green fella.
There was a except of course that weird green fella. But it's I don't know. I guess there's like if I said why, I think I would be. If I said like the only sort of similarity, I think I would be saying too much about the plot. But it's a really weak comparison.
Wow. It's interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised because Star Wars stole a lot of things and from better things. So, that's all I want to say is that I understand that if there are comparisons, then George Lucas should give back the things that he stole.
Yeah, George Lucas owes reparations to the entire movie industry.
The Italian film industry.
George
Campbell.
Reparations Lucas.
I also watched the making of The Shining, which was kind of a behind the scenes of The Shining. It was really interesting. It's really different from most modern behind the scenes where it's just a talking head of an actor being like, oh, I loved working on this movie. It was so great. Loved the graphics. But it was of Vivian Kubrick. Is that her name? His daughter? And she was just recording a lot behind the scenes. A lot of the actual scenes, you can see it recorded from a different perspective. I think the axe to the door scene. And Jack Nicholson is just the coolest guy in the world. And that movie really solidifies that. There's a fake out cock scene where he unzips his pants and he peels open the zipper. But instead of a nice, juicy meat package, he pulls out a microphone. And so that's a little like cinematic thing right there where they're doing a twist. I believe so.
Are you gonna watch Room 237?
No. I've heard things about Room 237, but I feel like this documentary is kind of the ultimate rebuttal to that, because it shows how much of the movie was planned on the day. That wasn't all this meticulous thing that was planned for years. And they're doing script rewrites daily. And it's a very good look at movie making in general and all the happenings there. There's a scene where Kubrick's mother comes to the stage or to the set, and they're reading the lines, and she's like, why does everyone have all these different color scripts? And they go, why? Because every day you print the script on a different color so people know which version they've got. Also, he was speaking very frankly to his mother. She could have just been any old broad, to be honest. And also, of course, you can kind of see the things with Shelley Duvall there. How there's one scene where she's like, "Look, my hair's falling out. I'm so stressed. My hair's falling out." And he says, "Shelley, simply, I do not have any sympathy for you."
That's horrible.
Yeah, and apparently they faked her out with one of the scenes where she was coming out, where they said, "Cut, we're not doing this set." And then, like 5 seconds later, they're like, "Action," and she came out snagged it. And then he was effing and jeffing her for that one. Phew. I don't know. What do you think about that relationship? Because most people say that he's abusive, but Shelley herself kind of said that it was more of a mutual relationship.
Yeah, I read some interview recently where she spoke fairly positively about her experience on The Shining, but it's hard to say. I don't know. I mean, her career definitely took a downturn afterwards. It's hard to say that there wasn't some effect from that.
I mean, if you saw that she was on Dr. Phil not too long ago, and she has mental illness and not a lot of other. I mean, I'm not saying, I don't know if that was all because of The Shining, but I'm just saying that I feel a lot of sympathy for her, and kind of seems like she's not in really a good place right now, at least.
Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall.
Thank you, Louis. So I guess if that's all, then we can probably announce what film we're doing next week, Fulton. So you can.
It's Joe Dante's Matinee.
That's right, Joe Dante's Matinee from 1993.
So join us next week. Thank you all of our guests.
Thank you for joining us, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for letting me inside of your show.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to describe it.
I didn't realize that you record all of these from inside of a tiny dark box.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to get out as soon as this is over.
Well, yeah, well, that's not happening. So, well, all right. Well, so yeah, have a good rest of your week, everyone, and stay wavy.
Stay safe.